Senator Fischbach, thanks for joining us today.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
The higher education bill does allocate roughly $1 billion to the U of M, another $1 billion to MnSCU, and about $400 million is appropriated to the Office of Higher Ed. Now, these numbers do reflect a reduction in general fund dollars. So given the economic climate, are you happy with this final package?
Well, I would have liked to have seen a little more go to MnSCU, simply because MnSCU does have a lot more students that they're serving. I understand that the University of Minnesota and the MnSCU missions are different, but MnSCU right now is an important part of our economy, and I would have liked to have seen some of those dollars that we added during the negotiations go to MnSCU.
Okay, so and two-year programs have a tuition cap in place of 4%. No cap is in place for four-year institutions. So in your opinion, is it possible for these institutions to hold tuition down for incoming students and even currently enrolled students?
Actually, under the budget that we did pass, the impacts to campuses themselves are minimal, and so I think they will be able to keep them down. Although given that we went into a special session and didn't have the budget done, MnSCU and the U of M did set this year's tuition, and so they did increase their tuition by, I believe it was 4% or 5%, one or the other. But they did set that for this year. And so we were looking to the tuition caps next year. We did have them in the bill for both years for all of the campuses and made the suggestion to the U of M. But in the end, it was just the two-year campuses. But I think that they can live within in those. And I believe that both President Kaler and Chancellor, the new Chancellor, are all looking at really trying to be innovative and use the dollars that they have to look at what programs are working, what programs aren't, what's necessary, and really be innovative with those dollars.
And we'll talk a little bit more about those two gentlemen in just a minute, but I also want to talk about some of the reforms in the bill, performance benchmarks, and the suggestion that more students take online courses, et cetera. What do you think of the reform measures that were put in place?
Well, the performance measures that were taken in, we worked with the U of M and MnSCU to look at those, so that they are things that they can work within. We're not asking huge changes from them, but to look at those and focus on those kinds of things, and we did tie some dollars to that.
And what are some of the things that maybe didn't make it in the final package that you would have preferred?
Well, actually, I would have liked to have seen the tuition caps for all of the campuses and for both years, but like I said, unfortunately, that first year, given that we were in special session, we couldn't do that exactly. But, you know, I would have liked to have seen that. And I also, it's not necessarily reform, but I would have liked to have seen the existing language that for cloning, for the ban on, or excuse me, the funding ban on cloning.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about Chancellor Rosenstone and President Kaler, both new to the system, a month and 8 days respectively. What are your impressions of these two gentlemen and the tasks that they have in front of them?
Well, both of them have big tasks in front of them. They have institutions to lead that face challenges, and not only funding challenges, but just the challenges of leading educational institutions into the future, and what we need as a state and what students need in particular in our state to meet those challenges in a new economy that we're looking at. I haven't had the opportunity to spend a lot of time with them yet. Obviously, we've been busy and they've been busy, and they're just becoming acclimated to their new jobs. So I hope in the future we will have a lot of time to sit down and discuss things with them. Actually, we're planning some campus visits for this fall, so we will probably get the opportunity not only to meet with the presidents and students at those campuses, but additionally Chancellor Rosenstone.
And let's talk a little bit more about that in your role as Chair of Higher Ed for the Senate. What kind of relationship would you like to form with these two gentlemen and with the institutions in general?
Oh, I would like to be able to work with them hand in hand, because not only do we don't want to be telling them what to do, we want to be working with them and enabling them to do the kinds of things that are important to those institutions. So it's not that I don't want to see the legislature and our committee, you know, imposing things upon them. You have to do this, you have to do that, but instead working with them to form the kinds of policies we need to take those institutions forward.
And speaking to policy, what kind of policies will you focus on in the next session?
Well, we're still considering those things for next year. Obviously, there were some things that we would like to see, maybe taking another look at some of those tuition caps for next year. That's not necessarily policy. It has a little to do with money too. But we're going to be considering that over the next few months, and as we visit the campuses and do some work this fall.
Senator Fischbach, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.